Hello, I'm Rosalind Andrews, and this is Feelings Are the Product. I wanted to start with a product that touches us all, and that is the hiring product. So I've led teams, built hiring plans, and made tough calls. I've also been laid off, ignored, breadcrumbed, and left waiting in a system that felt more like a maze than a true path forward. So let me say this plainly. We need to talk about hiring, not just about how it works, but how it feels, how it breaks trust, and why it's time to start treating hiring like what it truly is, a product. If the hiring process were a relationship, your friends would have staged an intervention by now. We'd call it one-sided, confusing, hot and cold, maybe even a little manipulative. And yet we normalize it. We professionalize it. We repeat it company after company, decade after decade. But here's the part that nobody wants to say out loud. The way hiring feels isn't just inefficient, it's emotionally exhausting. And if we treated any other relationship this way, we'd call it toxic. So now here's the shift. Hiring is a product. It's not a checklist. It's not a task for HR to fit in between payroll and compliance. It's a full-on brand-touching, trust-shaping product that every company puts into the world, whether they realize it or not. And just like any other product, it's either building connection or it's breaking it. But most companies, they don't treat it that way. They treat hiring like a one-sided transaction, like they're doing you a favor by letting you apply. The buyer-seller relationship from the hiring product and process is inverted. So let's break this down into something that we all understand. So imagine walking into a store to buy a phone, a car, or a TV. But instead of helping you, the buyer, understand what it does, why it exists, how it fits your needs, the manufacturer hands you a 40 or 50 bullet pointed checklist of vague, contradictory features for you to review. Now, imagine on top of this, they barely speak to you. They make you wait for weeks and then they disappear. Sound familiar? That's the hiring process. It's an inverted relationship. Companies are the ones selling an opportunity, but they behave like buyers, grilling, ghosting, and gatekeeping. Applicants, meanwhile, are treated like they're lucky to be there, even though many of them are current customers, are potential ones, are deeply connected to people who are already customers. Hiring isn't just a transaction. It's an emotional brand exchange. And right now, too many companies are missing the moment to demonstrate what they say matters most: people, relationships, and reputation. Instead of creating connection, their process creates confusion. Instead of showing value, it signals disregard. And that disconnect, it costs a lot more than just one hire. So, what are companies really missing? So, let's talk about top talent. Companies say they want it, top talent, that is. They build entire strategies around attracting it. But what if those very strategies that they are building actually keeps them from seeing the top talent? What if diamonds are being left in the pipeline unseen? Not because they are not qualified, but because the current process wasn't designed to recognize their value. Charisma is often easy to recognize, and so are vibes between an HR person and a hiring manager. So is confidence and quick wit and charm. All those things show up fast in an interview. But deep capability, strategic thinking, the kind of insight that drives outcomes, that's not always loud. And it doesn't always follow a perfect script. Right now, our systems reward the familiar, but familiarity isn't the same as fit. We say we want diverse thinkers and data-driven decision makers, but the hiring process does not reflect that. Because when your process favors polish over pattern recognition, you're not finding the best. You're finding what feels comfortable. There's a cost to your brand, and that is trust. So here's the part nobody talks about. The hiring process is more than just about getting someone in a seat. It's a brand trust product. Every single touch point with an applicant sends a message about your company, your values, your integrity. Because that applicant, they could also be a customer, a decision maker, a future leader, and they don't exist in isolation. They have friends, they have families, they have professional networks, and your brand is at the table for every one of those interactions, regardless if you know it or not. The impression that those interactions leave doesn't just affect that role, it affects how your company is remembered in every interaction. So trust isn't just built with marketing campaigns. It's built or broken in the quiet behind the scenes moments. A rushed interview, a cold rejection email, a complete lack of follow-up. These aren't small oversights. They're moments that shape how people talk about you meaning your brand, when you're not in the room. And if your hiring process doesn't align with your brand values, you're not just losing talent, you're losing trust. So there's a saying now that says, tell me where something blah, blah, blah. But in this case, we're going to say, tell me about where innovation goes to die without telling me where innovation goes to die. Because if dying innovation were a person in the hiring product, in the hiring process, it would wear a branded hoodie, hold a clipboard full of interview notes, and still think that 5 rounds of cultural fit interviews were the future of talent strategy. Companies say they want innovation. agility, forward-thinking minds, but they're still relying on hiring methods born in the 1920s. How many are using data